So you've been meaning to make a little bit of extra money on the side and you're thinking that maybe eBay is a good option, but you're not quite sure where to start. Then this video is for you. In this video, I'll go over tips for new eBay sellers. Hi, I'm Eileen and welcome to my channel Hustle and Slow, where I talk all about making money from home, entrepreneurship, being a work-at-home mom, and reselling. I have actually been a reseller since 2016. Well, I actually used to sell in high school, and that was a long time ago. But this last time around that I started reselling, I started selling in 2016 as a stay-at-home mom to my son, who was like 1.5 at the time. And my first full month on eBay, I was able to do over $1,000 in sales. And my first year on eBay, I was able to put $10,000 in our family's emergency savings account. So I'm just gonna kind of walk you through pretty quickly how to get started on eBay. I'm gonna go over all the steps that you need to take to start selling on eBay. I'm going to give you some tips for new sellers, and I'm gonna go over some frequently asked questions. Plus at the end, we'll go over how much people actually make on eBay, including myself. So go ahead and keep watching and let's get started. So there are 12 steps to start selling on eBay. It sounds like a lot, but once you get started, it's really not that bad. So bear with me while I go over them with you. The first thing you need to do is register your eBay and your PayPal accounts. If you already have an eBay account, then great. You probably also have a PayPal account. If not, you need to go over to eBay and PayPal and register for accounts. You can go ahead and just register for a personal account. You don't need a business account at this point. And if you already have an account, then you can skip this step, obviously. Step number 2 would be an optional step, but it's a step that I recommend, especially if you're a brand new eBay user and you don't have any feedback, and that step is to get some feedback. The best way to get feedback is to buy some stuff from a seller that has a lot of feedback. So you're looking like 20, 50,000 feedback, and buy something cheap, buy something you need, maybe buy some shipping supplies for the items that you're going to be selling. The reason you're looking for these people is because a lot of them will have it so that they leave feedback automatically, so that you don't have to wait for that feedback. So as soon as you purchase that item, you will likely get feedback. It's not a guarantee, so I can't make that promise to you, but for the most part, sellers who have a lot of feedback like that will do automatic feedback, so they will leave you feedback as soon as you pay. So if you can go make a couple of purchases, if you have the money to do that, then you can increase your feedback so you're not starting from zero. You want to have at least a little bit of feedback so that your potential buyers trust you and know that you are going to be a good seller. All right, so your next step is to find items and research. I can't go too much into depth about this because I could spend hours going over this, but just look around your house and see what items you might be willing to get rid of. Look them up on eBay and go down to the filter where it says sold, and you can see how much these items are actually selling for. Looking at what items are listed for is good, but looking at what they're selling for is a lot better because you can see what people are actually paying for that item, so you can decide if it's worth it to sell that item and make sure you also price accordingly. Tip while you're doing this research, make sure you kind of pay attention to the titles and the pricing and the pictures so that when you go to list this item, you have ideas for titles and pricing and how to kind of do your picture. And then the next step is to take some good photos. I recommend taking photos in a bright room so that your photos are bright and clear. You want the items to be seen really easily when people are scrolling through. Dark photos, people are just gonna scroll by because they can't see that item. So make sure your items are bright and crisp and clear. You can just use your phone, that's fine. Our phones take great pictures nowadays, so go ahead and just use your phone to take those pictures. And I recommend taking at least 5 pictures. The more the better. If you can include more pictures, if you can find more angles or other parts of the item that you can take pictures of, that's even better. The more photos you include, the more confident the buyer is going to be about purchasing that item because they can clearly see that item and see what kind of condition it is in, what kind of condition it's in, and everything like that. So next you're going to list the item. So you're going to log into eBay, you're going to click that sell link up at the top right, and you're going to just start listing the item. If you do it on your phone, you can do that as well, but I do recommend doing it on the computer because it is a lot faster, and the eBay app kind of sucks, to be honest. So if you want to do it on your phone, go for it, but I recommend doing it on the computer. So like I said, you're just going to click that sell button and kind of just follow the directions. There are a few things I want to go over in regards to listing your item, and the first one is titles. So making sure you have a good title with keywords is really important. Think about how you would search for the item. You wouldn't say cute top, you would say J. Crew pink sleeveless tank top or something like that, and you probably include the size. So use as many of the characters you can in the title field. I think it gives you 80, don't quote me on that, but use as many as you can, but be as descriptive as possible. Think how the buyer would think, how they would be searching for it, and use words that they would use. Next, you're going to select the correct category. It's important that you're in the right category, and then also the item specifics. So eBay is going to give you a lot of drop downs and little boxes to fill out, and some of them are required and a lot of them aren't, but I do recommend filling out as many as you can because these are the ways that people are able to filter on the eBay app or on the eBay website when they're buying. So if you don't put red in the color box and someone uses the filter and searches for red, your item's not going to come up. So use as many of those as you can. Next, you're going to want to put in a pretty simple description. You don't have to be too crazy in here. You don't have to put a lot of information about your policies or anything like that. Include basic information about the item, the condition, measurements if needed, anything like that, any flaws that might be included. Just keep it pretty simple and easy to read through in a matter of a couple of seconds because that's about how long people are going to spend on it. Next, you're going to need to decide on a format. So if you're going to be doing buy it now or auction, I would recommend buy it now for 99% of items unless you want to sell something quickly for really cheap, or you have a rare item that might have a bidding war for it, so something that's really rare and sought after. Those are the reasons you might do an auction, but most of the time you're just going to do buy it now and wait for the correct buyer. As long as you're priced competitively, you should be able to sell that item. Now, deciding on a price is something that I think a lot of people get hung up on, and this is where they stop because they don't know what to price it. And this is where your research came in when I told you on I think it was step 3, to research that item and pay attention to the titles and prices. This is when you're going to take those prices into consideration. You want to be competitive. And if you're brand new, you might want to be a little bit on the lower side of competitive so that you can sell your item faster. Next, you need to set your shipping, and this is another place where people get hung up. I think this is probably the biggest deterrent that I hear from people is they're afraid of shipping, so they don't even start. Shipping, it can be confusing at first, but if you have a postage scale, which I will link down below to the scale that I use, if you have a postage scale, you can just weigh the item. Make sure you weigh it in the box or in the poly mailer, however you're going to mail it, so that you have the total weight including all the packaging. And then you can put that into your listing and select shipping. If it's under a pound, you can do first class shipping, and if it's over a pound, you can do priority or a bunch of other options, but honestly, first class and priority are the easiest to work with. There are also priority flat rate envelopes that you can get. You can get free USPS supplies from their website. I will link to that down below as well, and that's only for priority items. So the two methods that we generally use are first class for under a pound and priority for over a pound. And the last step is to just double check everything, make sure everything is accurate so that you don't get someone that says you described something inaccurately, and go ahead and just click list. And then you're done. You listed your first item on eBay. Now, obviously this video would be hours long if I went through the exact step-by-step process and showed you everything, but I do have a course called the Reseller Roadmap, which is a course for beginners to start, streamline, and scale their resale business. And I will walk you through video tutorials. They're generally short video tutorials that show you step-by-step how to list your items, how to find items to sell, how to do your research and make sure you're buying good items, stuff like that. So if you want a little bit more guidance to starting and creating your resale business so that you're making a consistent income, you can go ahead and check out my course. I will link to it down below along with a coupon code. All right, so now let's go over some quick tips for beginner eBay sellers. My first tip is that you might want to sell your items a little bit cheaper at first to try and get those first sales going so that you can sell your first items, get that money back, and have that capital to reinvest, or to just get good feedback, or to just get a feel for selling on eBay. So maybe sell items for a little bit cheaper if you want to get those items moving faster at the beginning. My second tip is to ship as quickly as possible. Thanks to Amazon, everybody is used to free 2-day shipping, so making sure that your buyer gets their item really quickly is really important. I try to ship every single day. If you can't ship every single day, just ship as often as you can and make sure that your handling in your eBay listings is set to that amount of time. If you say that you can ship in 1 day and you ship in 2 days, then you will get dinged by eBay. You will get what's called a defect, and if you get too many of those, they can kick you off. So make sure you're shipping within your handling time, but really as quickly as possible. If you're using your phone to take your photos, take it in square mode, because if you do it in horizontal or portrait mode, I couldn't think of the word for that. If you do it in horizontal or portrait mode, it will kind of shrink your photo down so that it fits in a square. So just take the picture in a square in the first place so that you have control over the way the picture looks. A lot of sellers will do this, but I'm telling you, please don't use stock photos. Any photos that you didn't take yourself and you don't have permission from the person who owns that photo, please don't use those photos. Don't Google images for items and put them on eBay. Just don't do it. You don't own those photos and you can get in trouble. You can get kicked off eBay. So just don't do it. I know a lot of people do it and they get away with it, but I recommend just taking your own photos. And then make sure you're really clear about flaws. You need to take pictures of the flaws so that they can be clearly seen. You need to note them in the description. A lot of people aren't going to pay that much attention when they're purchasing an item. So if they receive an item and notice a flaw when it gets there, they're going to be pretty mad. So if you can put it in as many places as possible so that they know that it's there, then there's less of a chance of them missing it and being mad when they get that item. My last tip for you as a beginner is don't be afraid of scammers and returns. This is what everybody's afraid of. Returns happen. That's just part of selling online or selling in general. And scammers are pretty rare as long as you're doing everything within eBay. Don't let scammers or returns scare you. If you let them scare you into not starting this business, you're losing out on way more money than you're going to lose out on those actual returns or scammers. All right, so there are some frequently asked questions that I want to go over with you. And the first one is, why do I have a seller limit? So if you have a brand new account and you notice that you have a seller limit, maybe you can only list a certain number of items or up to a certain amount each month. That is just eBay kind of being cautious because they don't know you as a seller and they want to make sure that you're a good seller before they allow you to sell a high volume of items. They don't want someone coming in listing 1,000 items, scamming a bunch of people, and then getting off the platform. So they're just being cautious and they're trying to make sure that you're a good seller and you can get those limits raised over time. So if after a month you've maxed out your limits and you've been doing well and you've been sending things out on time, you can go ahead and call eBay and request to raise those limits. You can also Google raise my eBay selling limits and there should be a page that pops up with a button that says request a raise in selling limits, and you can also try that once in a while to see how that goes. Another question that gets asked a lot is, how much are the fees on eBay? So you get 50 free listings on eBay. So your first 50 items that you list are free, but you will pay a final value fee on those items. So you aren't paying anything to list them, but if they sell, then you will pay a fee. And that fee is usually around 10%, give or take, depending on the category that's in. After you go over that 50 item limit, it's an extra 30 cents per listing. And it's so funny to me when people won't list any more than 50 items because they don't want to pay that extra 30 cents. But if you're making 10 or 15 or $20 on that item, why would you not want to pay that 30 cents? So don't let that stop you from listing your items. List as much as you can because the more you list, the more you're going to make, as long as you're selling good stuff. Another question that gets asked a lot is, should I sell on eBay or Amazon? And the quick answer to that is, it depends. eBay and Amazon are totally different. It's much easier, in my opinion, to sell on eBay. It's much more accessible. They're not quite as strict, and it's a lot less confusing than Amazon, in my opinion. Amazon, you can't sell everything that you sell on eBay. You can't sell used clothing on Amazon the way you would on eBay. You can sell some used items like books and electronics and stuff like that. I'm not an Amazon expert by any means. I have sold things on Amazon, but I do find eBay is a lot easier to manage, and it's also a lot easier to find items to sell on eBay. Now, something that people ask me a lot is, can you really make money on eBay? And yes, you really can make money on eBay. Some people are like, people still sell on eBay, and yes, people still sell and buy on eBay. There are millions of people on eBay buying and selling every single day. Now, how much do sellers make on eBay? And the answer to this is, it depends. There are probably some people who just sell here and there and make like $20 a month. And there are some sellers who make millions of dollars every year. So it just depends on the seller, how much effort they're putting into it, how they're able to get products and stuff like that. So it really just depends. But if you want to see how much I have personally made as a reseller on eBay, you can go ahead and click some of the income reports down below. For the entire year of 2019, I shared my income reports, which only included resale income for eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. So you can kind of see the numbers there. I would say on average for my husband and I, who do this as a team, we spend probably 20 to 30 hours a week on eBay and can make anywhere between $3,000 to $8,000 in sales. That's kind of the range that we generally hit, and it really just depends on the kind of items we're sourcing, how often we're listing, how much we're working, and the season and all that kind of stuff. So there really is a large range, but you can make money on eBay. So if you want to check out my income reports, you can go ahead and click them down below. And then, is selling on eBay worth it? I think a lot of people think that it's too much work or that you don't make enough money to make it worth it. And it really just depends on you. If you have that extra time, if you enjoy selling things online, then it might be worth it to you. If you make a lot of money and you just want to relax and you don't want to make an extra 200 bucks a month on eBay, then don't. It really just depends on you, but you can make money if you want to, and whether it's worth it or not is totally up to you. So now you know all the basics on getting started on eBay. There is so much more that I can mention, but I tried to fit as much as I could into this video without making it so long. I think that a lot of people find eBay intimidating, but once you get started, once you list those first few items, once you ship those first few items, it does get easier. I'm not saying it's easy at all. It is a business, you do have to put effort into it, but it does get easier and you get a lot more confident once you start to actually have experience with it. I do want to mention again that I have my course, the Reseller Roadmap, if you kind of want that extra guidance and you want to kind of have a little bit of a shortcut, stop doing all that research, stop watching videos and Googling all these questions. If you want to save that time and just get started selling right away, you can go ahead and purchase that down below. I will include a coupon code as I promised. As I mentioned before, it is basically a step-by-step guide to start reselling. I cover eBay and Poshmark. I cover exactly how to start, streamline, and scale your reselling business so that you can start making a consistent income online. I'll also give you some of my best tips and strategies that I've developed over the last couple of years so that you can be confident while you grow your resale business. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you are looking to start selling on eBay, I'm so excited for you. Please go do it. Don't let anything hold you back. It really has changed our lives as we have been able to be home, working from home as a self-employed family with our kids. So I'm so excited to be able to share this with you, and I hope that you go ahead and start selling on eBay. I don't think you'll regret it, and if you don't like it, you can always just stop. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and click that like button. It tells YouTube that I'm putting out good quality content that you find helpful. And if you want to see more videos from me about earning an income from home, entrepreneurship, and reselling, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.